Hello and welcome to the Fanboy Modeling School. I am the Fat Mantis, now in HD, and I'm here with my man
Steve, running no gimmicks, also in HD, hi-fi, lo-fi, to fidelity. What's going on?
Are we the last of the HD writers?
Yes. In fact, I'm always surprised when you still say it.
Is it sad that I cling on to that?
No, but it is sad that you said last of the HD writers and then said cling on to. And if people don't know what that is an acronym for, it's a big pause.
It means heavy dick. But let's get down to brass tacks, as I often like to do. I don't like to beat around the bush, as a lot of you understand. We've got a lot of crazy topics going on. We are the Fanboy Modeling School, Fat Mantis, and Steve, real name, no gimmicks. You can find us on Riz Radio throughout the week. You can find recaps of this show throughout the weekdays, and on the weekends, you can find us. He's our night man. I'm the last night man. I start at 6. No. It's a good time. It's a good time. But how's your week been, man?
It's been good. It's been good, man. I'm tired, big guy, but not like mentally drained tired or tired from like life being so bad. I'm just tired from all this winning we've been doing over here. Just so tired. No, actually, man, a lot of interesting stuff going on in the political sphere, a lot of stuff going on in the social community sphere. And I just got to be real with you, man. I'm not a Huff writer. I am a Huff supporter, but I thought he did a great job on Rogan. And in fact, I don't think there was anyone more qualified to go up there. In fact, I don't ever think, and I don't mean this in any way, because Joe Rogan can handle himself physically and conversationally, right? Like you're not just going to run up on this guy and do anything you want to Joe Rogan. That's why I always laugh when I would see certain liberal pockets be like, if I saw him in the street, I'm like, you have an asthma attack.
Right. They couldn't even beat him in a debate, let alone like an arm wrestling match.
But I got to be honest with you, Joe Rogan was very respectful. Subdued is not the word I'm looking for, but it just seemed like he was basically captivated the entire conversation.
Yeah, well, we're going to break this down because this is one of our topics, or this is at least one of my main topics I want to talk about.
It's a main topic.
Yeah. But yeah, it was interesting. Lanio, welcome. How are you? And then of course, so we're going to talk about Joe Rogan having a mainstream Christian,
and
not a Christian who believes in aliens or wait, hold on. I'm a Christian that believes in aliens, but not a Christian that believes the Bible is written by aliens or something crazy like that. None of these experimental hippies who mix Christianity with something else, which he's had plenty of both on.
Right. I don't think he's ever had I wouldn't qualify those people as Christians. I would definitely say
that's what I'm saying, right? So I'm saying an actual Christian was on, and we're going to discuss that. But do you have any honorable mentions?
Well, wait, before you say that, I have to qualify it perfectly. Beyond just a Christian, which is enough for most instances, right? A PhD level, scholastically trained,
right,
textual variant Christian.
Because you know who he did have on? This is so funny. He had Kid Rock on. And so Kid Rock is talking about being a wild man and a partier and like a rock star and how much he loves his guns. And late in the game, I don't know if you've seen this clip, he suddenly goes, I love Jesus Christ. What about you, Joe? Do you love Jesus Christ? He's like, you love Jesus Christ? And Joe Rogan was like unsure. Like he didn't realize that he was talking to a Christian. And, so Joe is just like taken aback. He doesn't know how to respond. And then Kid Rock proclaims his love of Jesus and the Gospels. That was an amazing moment, but yet Kid Rock wasn't. He didn't know. Yeah, he didn't know his apologetics enough. He couldn't really explain what was going on at the time. So it was really interesting to have Wes Huff on the scene. And over in the chat, Lanio says, I'm here, I'm live, I'm doing it. Yes, Lanio is actually, dates back to the HD days, she's an OG, she's an original gangster, an amazing human being, and always love it when she's in our chat. But I'm trying to think right now, and for those who are wondering, why is Steve not talking. It's because he's having a little technical difficulties, so I have to stall right now. And what I'm gonna stall with,
I'm back.
there he is. How are you, my friend?
I don't know. It happened. It happened.
Do you want to exit and come back because I think it's choosing your wrong mic?
No, it's not. It's
Not that.
I don't want to say on air what it is because it'll only frustrate you. Before you were
it's the Germans again. Did you have any honorable mentions?
Anything that's going on. I mean, I guess this doesn't have to be a main topic, but I did notice that we will, He-Man, a lot of stuff going on with He-Man. What are your thoughts on He-Man?
So He-Man, you know what? Let's just get into the topics. I think you have a video for that, right?
Yeah. I sent it to you, man. He-Man.
Right. Okay. So
before we get into it, man, how attached are you to He-Man? Maybe I missed something, right? I watched He-Man as a kid, and I moved on. No, go ahead.
So you know why? Oh wait, hold on. I did move on, but I'm saying in terms of nostalgic energy, he's amazing. Now, here's the thing. It's like, for instance, Transformers, I never let go. I always love Transformers. I still read their comics. I still go to their movies. I hate the live action movies. I love the animated stuff. Right. I watch their animes from Japan. Never let go of Transformers. I guess I would have. It could be said that I let go of He-Man and G.I. Joe because I don't rock them. Right? Okay. Like I'm not like let me see what the latest G.I. Joe are up to. But I will say, classic He-Man is amazing. Okay. And you know what it is? It's plain old. Just gonna say it. White fun. And so, okay. And what it is I think some people think that, like, people have literally accused him of being some like white supremacist icon. He's not.
He-Man?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's what it is. Him and the Masters of the Universe are like a metaphor for some Norse pantheon of gods.
I wouldn't have thought that at all. I'm like, if there was anything that was LGBTQ plus friendly when we were growing up, before that was an acronym, it was most certainly He-Man.
right. Okay, yeah. Because I'm just saying that racially. But yeah, like I don't think he beats up guys down in Chelsea by the waters at night. Yeah, Prince Adam. It might be possible that his beta persona as Prince Adam is LGBTQIA2A plus divided by 7, and He-Man is just the most heterosexual guy in the world that he bangs other dudes.
I was like, go ahead. Right,
but I'm just gonna say that, like, it is a lot of white deityfication fun, right? I think that's what barbarians basically are, right?
Okay, I'm with you.
This idea that there's these ultra jacked white dudes lifting up mountains and smacking each other on the ass. It's crazy. It's crazy, which is why I think the only true way you can make it, and this perfect segue into what we're going to talk about, the only true way you can make a He-Man movie is unapologetically make it as crazy as that.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like these jack dudes wrestling, oiling up. It's like 300. Oiling up, wrestling, chopping off heads, and then they go to the steam room and finish each other off. I think that's the only way they can really make it entertaining. He-Man anything.
Okay. And in your entertaining version of He-Man, what poor actors would you be casting into this movie?
So you know what it is? I don't know. I probably already failed this test right here, because I would get actors, but I would get actors that are at least jacked, and then you know what I would do? I would make them more jacked with CGI. Because you know what? There's no actor who has He-Man's physique. That's kind of the point of He-Man, right?
Right. I mean, he does look like a Rob Liefeld drunk.
Like even the Rock, I don't think could possibly portray him.
You don't think the Cavill can pull it off?
They're big. I don't know. I don't know. Who would you get? Oh, so you're saying you would get Cavill?
I'm saying that, yeah, you can get Cavill to play He-Man, or you get Cavill to play Master at Arms. You get The Rock to play Skeletor, right? And you get what's this guy's name? You get Thor to play He-Man.
Okay.
And then you try to
that's certainly a way to do it,
You couldn't even come up with a name. You're critiquing my picks.
No, wait, whoa. Excuse you. I'm not critiquing your picks. What I'm saying is, my concern is the muscles. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. So, do you remember that show Into the Badlands?
Yes.
So not wildly successful, but a successful kung fu show that went into, I think it went 5 seasons or something. And they asked the actor why, when Iron Fist was so ill received, they asked the main actor from Into the Badlands, do you think this is a reflection of people rejecting kung fu?
Mm-hmm.
And he said no. He said the way they prioritize the show is insane. If you make a show like that, you have to first think of the kung fu, then think of all the other things.
Mm-hmm.
They thought of the kung fu last. He's like, on my show, we make sure the actors can do the kung fu movements.
Oh, you're talking about him when he was critiquing Iron Fist?
Yeah. And then he's like, and then we worry about the other stuff. And I agree with that. And like, for instance, for He-Man, I would say priorities are muscles, gayness, muscles, then actors.
Oh my goodness.
So
all right.
Lanio says it's such an amazing show they canceled it way too soon. I agree. Even though Into the Badlands, you're going to get a full adventure. I mean, it's a great show. But
does it end well? Does it end well?
Yeah.
Good. I might check that out, man. I watched a few episodes in the first season. And it's just, I couldn't keep up with it. It's too much stuff going on in life. Too many drugs to do at the time is what I'm trying to say, folks.
I tell you, man, a lot of drugs to do because it was, when Iron Fist was around.
Oh wait, no, I wasn't even doing any drugs then. I think I was just sober and didn't have time.
You were just a sober curmudgeon, is what you were. Didn't know how to have fun.
So in regards to this whole friggin' He-Man thing, there's a whole controversy, and I think you were the first person to kick it off, if I remember correctly. You were like, "Yo, who are these?" And I'm not going to use the word you picked to describe these guys, that they are getting to play the uber masculine men of the world of He-Man. And when you use that word, I was like, well, how fitting, because I don't think I've ever seen He-Man interested in a woman before, right? The only chick he hung out with was his half sister, wasn't it? And Master at Arms' daughter.
Yeah, he is Master of Arms' daughter, but like it was one of those situations that was awkward because she was in it and she was supposed to be a love interest, but no one was falling for that. No one thought they had sexual chemistry.
And he was always disappearing with Orko.
I'm telling you, they were in the steam room, man.
So let's watch this critique here. I sent you the video.
Yeah, I just pulled it up. Who is it?
I had to get some fresh faces on the show. So I wanted we gotta stop listening to the same people critique stuff. So I was like, let's find some other angry shut-ins on the internet.
Okay, let's see if you pick the right shut-in.
Masters of the Universe is a franchise that is loved by many and often misunderstood by many more. Alas, the people making the upcoming movie would appear to belong to the latter category because they're already
I like his voice
for it and bragging about how different from the cartoon it's going to be.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Oh man, that's such a mistake. Oh, I'm already annoyed.
What? That's gonna be different than the cartoon?
Yeah.
But everyone hated the cartoon. Like the new cartoon, the Kevin Smith.
After almost 2 decades in development hell, the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe movie.
Let me address that. Oh, look, I actually like this artwork. Yeah. But here's what it is. most people remember hating things or disliking things, but at the end of the day, when you're playing nostalgia, and let's be real, all these G.I. Joe movies, He-Man, Transformers, it's all trying, Ghostbusters, it's all trying to touch our nostalgia when we were kids, right?
Right.
When you want nostalgia, you actually want to be taken back to the innocent time of being a kid. And the things you used to think were stupid, you now want in a movie. It's weird, right?
Well, wait, I'm talking about the Kevin Smith adaptation of He-Man. That animated.
that was hated. That was hated for different reasons.
That was hated the first season, and it seemed like everyone jumped on board for the second season.
You watched it, right?
No, I didn't watch it because everyone hated it, and I'm a slave to advertising and commentary. So I was like,
no. You know what they did, right?
What'd they do?
He-Man wasn't in it.
What?
He-Man wasn't in it. He's in flashbacks here and there, but He-Man has vanished. And so it's Teela doing all this stuff. It's Teela and her friend. we know what's going on there. And they're traveling around, and trust me, there was cool medieval stuff going on and fantasy stuff, but everyone was like, where is He-Man? There wasn't any He-Man.
Really?
And that's why people were so pissed. They felt like, obviously, they accused it of being woke, right? They're like, whoa, a woman taking over. And I would say it was woke. I don't like that either. But the idea that, it's bait and switch. It's called He-Man, and you don't feature He-Man?
Yeah, it's like that Spawn movie they're making where Spawn's going to be the back character, and he's going to be following the detectives around.
Is that really what they're doing?
I mean, that's been the talk for quite some time. It's going to be on about Twitch and Sam, I believe his name is. I could be wrong. The two detectives and
that's what they did. That's what they were going to do to Blade, right? They were going to have him just be a side character in his own movie, so a bunch of chicks could take over.
Right? Well, not just a bunch of chicks, black women. Get it right.
Are you sure they were black? I don't know. I don't know. Hello, D. Welcome to the stream. We're talking He-Man. All other things homosexual.
Go ahead. Please.
To have some serious forward momentum, as we have now gotten more casting updates, outside of He-Man himself, that is, who is replaced every few years. Case in point, the current He-Man actor and third to be cast in the last 5 years is Nicholas Galitzin. But he might actually stick, because cast alongside him is Jared Leto as Skeletor, Camila Mendes as Teela, Alison Brie as Evelyn, Idris Elba as Man-at-Arms, Sam C. Wilson as Trapjaw, and Kojo Atta as Triclops. So hardly a dream cast there. The final name we know at this point in time is Hafthor Julius Björnsson as Goatman, a character I do not know. As for the story, that is still being kept under wraps, according to the Hollywood Reporter via SFF Gazette, where it stated that, while plot details are being kept under wraps, we know that director Knight's collaborator on Wildwood, Chris Butler, penned the latest draft of the screenplay. David Callahan and Adam Nee previously took a crack at it. Yeah. What we don't know is if Chris Butler did a page one rewrite, or if he did a polish on the David Callahan draft, like David Callahan did a polish on the Adam and Adam Nee draft. If that is the case, we have some idea, because we do know the synopsis for the previous David Callahan draft.
I get it.
Let's
He-Man's white and he has an iron cross on his chest. I get it.
You're saying that looks like he's some Nazi or something, right?
Yeah, no, I get it.
I love that. I get it.
Now I know why everyone's upset. All right, continue.
And so, it is an iron.
I'm joking for our right-leaning commentator friends out there.
It happens to be an iron cross. I honestly don't think the creators put any thought into that.
Was
right? Oh, you think it was hidden?
Listen, if we can look for occult signs everywhere, I can find Nazi propaganda anywhere.
Okay.
Go for it.
Into it, yeah.
Visit our reporting from 3 years ago, from January 29th of 2022, the last time the movie was officially announced, when Kyle Allen was playing He-Man.
It better not be set on Earth. Oh my God, if it's set on Earth, I will lose.
Let's go back to the plot synopsis. In Masters of the Universe, Alan will play an orphan named Adam who discovers he is a prince destined to be the savior of a faraway land. He must quickly learn of his power and the importance of saving his true home from an evil force. From that, we can extrapolate a couple of things. First and foremost, he's an orphan, so no royal upbringing. He's an orphan who is pushing 30, but never mind that, because he's also a prince, one who is destined to be the savior of a faraway land.
I'm an honest-to-God prince.
Meaning he is not in that faraway land. His true home is implied to be that magical faraway land in which he is not currently present. This we know. That begs the question, where is he as the story begins? Well, most likely, he's right here on Earth, looking at the sky, wondering if he wasn't made for something greater. I say most likely he's on Earth, because we can always hope for the absolute best case scenario possible within that description, which would be that they ripped off the secret of the sword and gave this He-Man a variation of the origin story written for She-Ra. You will recall that she was kidnapped by Hordak and taken from Eternia to Etheria, where she, for all intents and purposes, was an orphan from a faraway land. Although her adopted homeworld also was an alien world from the audience's point of view. However, it would make very little sense story-wise to make yet another different world in addition to Eternia. So chances are, a big chunk of the story...
Yo, please tell me they're not going to set it on Earth.
Listen, I'm here for outrage, man. Why is everyone upset either way it goes? I think you would probably be able to explain it better than our Irish or Scottish friend here. What is there to be upset about if he's on Earth? What's the big deal? What am I missing?
Because it's supposed to be a sheer fantasy story. It's supposed to, it has nothing to do with Earth. He should be in some faraway land with magic and warriors, right? That's the fun of it. It's almost like,
look at how good Dolph Lundgren did when he was He-Man. He came to Earth, man. He ate chicken.
Yeah, that's right. It had there was like a magic saxophone that the villains wanted, and he had to get it. Like, it was crazy. The 80s was a wild time. But yeah, no, I'm not. I'm like absolutely against He-Man being set on Earth. He has to be in like a world with like goblins and trolls and like people beheading people.
There are goblins and trolls, mostly in California.
Because of what's going on these days, you're not allowed to make that joke.
Well, they're getting burned out.
You mean God is punishing them for all their sin?
Oh my goodness! No,
shout out
and prayers to anyone that's going through it in California. When I was talking about California, I was talking more like Northern California. They're definitely goblins.
But honestly, that was a mean joke of mine. You are absolutely right.
No, you're not. I didn't say it was a mean joke.
It was a mean joke. I should not have made that joke. No one should have to go through that. Your punishment will be in the afterworld. Honestly, prayers to all the people who are suffering from the LA fires. I mean, I've been seeing video footage from it. It is wild what's going on over there.
Listen to me. Dolph Lundgren showed up to a chicken shack after coming from another universe and judged people for eating meat. So the He-Man they were representing was a vegan. Did you know that?
No.
Yes, go back and watch that movie. They were all vegans, and the only one that dared to eat the meat, was Master at Arms. And when they were all eating it, him and his daughter, they were like, "What is this?" And he's like, "It's dead animal."
They were vegan. That doesn't even make any sense. You can't get muscles if you're a vegan.
That's not true.
No, it is true.
Bro,
you know what? You buy into all this vegan propaganda, man. No. You can be fit and you can get a certain tone, but you cannot get a high tone without that. You need massive protein. You need massive protein.
Most people can't get He-Man mass without steroids. That's what you mean to say. That's what you mean to say.
But I'm telling you, there's no vegan, there's no jacked vegan. They're definitely fit vegans, don't get me wrong. But
wait, Beck said, notice how Steve didn't even apologize? No, I didn't apologize. I didn't tell this fool to apologize. I prayed for them, and I am praying for them. I'm not going to apologize. I didn't start the fires. I'm praying for them. Aren't you praying for them, Beck? Bex, are you ever going to tell us what your ask her, Mantis? Ask her.
No, we're not going to bring that up again.
Thus defeating the one thing which was universally disliked about the 1987 movie,
Bex says
namely
she goes
it
reading
being
for
set
muscle.
on Earth.
Yeah, people
Eternia
hated
is
this.
a character in the story. It doesn't matter if He-Man's mother is an astronaut from Earth. No He-Man movie has any business being set on Earth.
Right.
If you want to kill excitement for a He-Man project right off the bat, then setting it on Earth is one surefire way of achieving just that. Once again, all of that came from the reading of the synopsis of the previous David Callahan draft. Again, we don't know
Wait,
how
did that
much
dude
of that
have
has
multicolored
changed from the
porn
most
phone?
recent Christmas.
Go back. No
Wait,
way.
what was that?
I'm sorry. Did the previous writer have multicolored braids? Go back. Right there. What?
Well,
No,
they're
yeah,
just
get him
red.
out of here. Get him out of here. You don't need this guy writing the He-Man script.
Yeah, but so
Oh.
basically, let's talk about like some basic stuff. So forget about the Earth thing for a second.
Right.
I also noticed, just in terms of success, like I said, everyone's like dying for nostalgia. And you ever notice that the further you go away from the original source material, the less people like it. And I think that's what's going on with Marvel. I think their story has deviated enough where they're telling stories that aren't even derived from the Marvel universe. And that's why they're losing their core fan base.
Okay.
Right. And so once again, if you you need to know the basics, to appease an audience. It's like you're making a Spider-Man movie and being like, you know what, I think we're gonna have in this world have Uncle Ben alive. People won't like it, they'll reject it. They're instinctively programmed to reject it.
I think you're absolutely correct. There's one thing. You said base, you said audience, grand, huge, right? Money making, franchise built on audiences, return, retention. These are words that are popping in my head.
Right.
Actually talking. Where is this He-Man base that you speak of?
No, here's what it is. I think it's the same. It's the same base as like the Ghostbuster base or like
the Turtle base, the niche base.
Yeah, just like these kind of people who are nostalgic, and they'll be like, yeah, here's what it is. You want to get somebody who grew up with He-Man, and once again, they don't like He-Man. I think there's very few people who have clung to He-Man the way me and a bunch of other, Transformers lovers have for Transformers.
Whoa.
I don't think they exist, but I do think what you can do is you can but you can get someone into the theater because they're like, oh, I remember He-Man. Let's see what this movie's like. And what you then have to show them is an amazing movie. And that guy will keep coming back and he will tell his friends. And he will be like, I can't believe it. I went to a He-Man movie and it was incredible.
Right. But will that be enough to get it over the $1 million point where the company decides it's worth doing another one?
You have the fan base is out there. You just need to dazzle them and give them what they want when they're in the theater. And so when all these creators, they're not even creators, they're vandalizers. Kevin Feige is a vandalizer of Marvel. James Gunn is currently a vandalizer of DC. These vandalizers change the original source material too far. Obviously, it's all right to tweak. If you go too far off it, you're vandalizing the original property. But if you stay close to it, people will be impressed and they'll love it.
Well, we have a bunch of heterosexual women in the chat right now, right? Mm-hmm. Let's ask the heterosexual women, what would you want? And they're nerds, most importantly. But the heterosexual part is going to play key here. What would you want from a He-Man movie, ladies? What would you want?
Yeah, that's a good question, Steve. Oh, look, Steve's pulling out a curveball here. What do our heterosexual nerdist ladies want to see in a He-Man movie?
See in a He-Man movie, because I know what most of the guys are probably going to see, and then there's another prop.
Look at what a nerd lady is. She says she's talking to D, and she's talking about video games. She says, C3O is my handle. That is just so nerdy. So ladies, what's it gonna be? What will get you to go and enjoy a He-Man movie?
Loincloths, muscles, ripples. What do you need to see? And what about you, big guy? Other than that, I suppose you're gonna want to see scantily clad She-Ra and scantily clad
She-Ra and Teela need to Yeah, and Evil Lynn. Oh, when I was a kid, I didn't know what I wanted to do to Evil Lynn, but I wanted to do I wanted to get her. I didn't know what I was going to do when I got her. And so Evil Lynn, I'm glad that they said Alison Brie is playing her. So I'm into that. Let me tell you.
School said I didn't know what I was going to do when I got it. Just an 8-year-old man just like, I don't know what's going to happen next, but I caught you. So get the Uno deck, lady. We're playing.
So lady says, we are nerds. Max says, a pretty face and a good body. Okay, there we go. We need a jacked He-Man. Would you say jacked? Would you say he needs to be a thick boy? A wide boy. That's what, not thick, but a wide boy.
And compare that against the He-Man that you got. So the guy's a good-looking guy, Bex, but not ultra mega strong looking like He-Man. Is that important? Do you need to see ripped muscles?
Another question is, does it matter that he's adventuring on Earth, or is there something more sexy about him on a fantasy world? You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what's crazy about the fantasy world thing, right? When you're describing this, man, and I say this with respect, and I'm just going to say it, this does sound kind of hubby. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean like your hubby. It sounds like kind of hubby. Like the storyline, like, this is destined to be like a B movie for sure. Like, this is the type of stuff the perverts wait around for years to make spoofs on if they haven't made parodies already, man. I don't think
you're saying what they're
Yes, you know what I'm saying, bro.
Right. Lanio says veins. She wants to see veins. Oh wow.
Also over 6 foot.
Not overly buff, but even though He-Man does look super buff. Okay. No, and he's got to be a big buff dude, says Laney. Over speed, of course. I want the muscles all in the thighs. Yes, exactly. Because, like, for instance, he has a furry loincloth, and it's not just a loincloth; it's a furry one.
Oh my goodness,
that is hypersexual, if you ask me. Yes, Arnold buff. He has to be Arnold buff. I think.
Laney said wide.
Yeah, wide. Yeah. Listen, just give me the long blonde locks. Yeah. So this is interesting. So the hotter, more jacked he is, he's going to attract women to the theater because he's going to be. Another thing is, I have to say, I know this is a mo on me. This is a pause on me. He has to be scantily clad too. I want him in a loincloth, and I want him in just like those straps of metal.
Whenever you talk like this, I can definitely see you as an old school producer. Like, you're just saying this too.
They make a costume. I'm like, he needs to wear less. We need the ladies in those seats. Less.
You still got self-respect. Less.
But for me, it has to be that. But the ladies are looking for the sexuality, right? What it is, I think sexuality is blended with violence. He's got to look like that, but I want him chopping off heads. I want him butchering people with that big sword of his, and I don't mean his cock. I'm talking about the big, and I want it the way I wanted us to take Tolkien levels of violence, and I want us to up the ante.
Right.
Of how basically I want him to murder his enemies on the battlefield and the blood splatter to be on his muscles. That's what I'm looking for in a He-Man movie.
D says, Mantis, calm down. I agree, Mantis. The girlies and the gays will pay. Now that's going to get the $1 million. There it is right there.
That is the quote. I agree, Mantis. The girlies and the gays. Yes, exactly. And so and all of this stuff is simple. This is cheap to do the things we're asking. But I bet you if we did all these things right now, queer bait, as they say, get the gays in there, get the girls in there, have the violence for the men, that dog will hunt.
Laney says, if they don't sexualize this man, I ain't paying.
But also look at the heroes of the modern age, right? And so they're gonna try to make him like that dude from Twilight. He's gonna be some emo guy with feelings. I have this feeling that they're gonna do that.
Didn't the ladies love that dude too, Robert Pattinson, when he was in Twilight? They loved him. They loved him. They did.
I have a feeling the girls in this chat loved him.
Oh yeah, every last
knowing these girls, they loved him.
They loved him.
But you know who that doesn't attract? That doesn't attract the dudes, the heterosexual dudes. I don't want to see what was this, Edward, Jacob, whatever, whoever he is. I don't want to see a dude like that be a hero. That's why I didn't like the Batman.
Technically, that book and that movie film franchise was not made with you and I in mind.
But I know. But here's what I'm trying to say. You were asking if it's going to make $1 billion, and I'm trying to design a He-Man movie that will make $1 billion. So let's cut out the emo, get to the killing.
Bex just gave it to you. I don't even think there needs to be killing. If we make Bex the producer, the girls and the gays.
And the gays will go, but I might not go if there isn't killing. I need to see the killing. Because I'm saying, remember, his name is He-Man. He's a masculine dude who's doubling down on another masculine dude into rolled in one, right? The mantra, like I said, I want absolute murder left and right. I want him just. And you know what? I'm probably not going to get that, and I'm already upset.
I mean, I kind of wish this video would show. I should have screened this a little bit better. I kind of wish it would show just more. Go the side by sides. I guess if you weren't here early enough, Bex, go check out the cast for the new He-Man movie. Tell us what you think. You and D. I know Lainey saw it, and just let us think if this is. Let us know if this is something you would check out.
Right.
Now, I agree with you. The movie's got to have violence. Here's something I would like for it to have: an actual story. Right? I'll go for the violence and all that, but wouldn't it be great if we got a He-Man story that was compelling, that was outside of the comics?
Right. And so I'll give you an example that something was compelling. Although I like the original origin of the Transformers, I will say Transformers 1, even though I was like against that they changed stuff, that was a compelling story.
Yeah, it was a good story, man.
That was a really good story. I mean, I felt emotional toward the end, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I didn't feel emotional, but I understand how someone like you can get emotional over that.
You know what it is? You are Megatron, and that's what it is. The entire time when when I was watching that movie, watching him fall, I was like, "This motherfucker, Steve." But I did feel for him, and like it's one of they modern movies. They make a lot of these sympathy for the devil movies, right?
Yeah.
But they never do them well. Like if you watch,
that was done well.
That was done so well, and I actually do agree with Megatron. I can see what his thought process, everything he did. I'm like, I dig it, I get it.
Yeah.
But if you watch like Star Wars,
you are secretly Megatron. I'm a person that knows stuff is messed up. You want to believe things are better than they actually are, and then you watch things fall apart. And the next thing I know, Mantis is rounding people up for education for the processing and stuff like that.
and I just love the part when Megatron's finally lost it and he just goes, "Destroy the city!" Decepticons just start shooting everyone and everything. Oh man, great time. Sorry, spoilers ahead, guys.
Hold on, let me just hit the not record button and then we do it. It's a lot of work to get this show up on RizRadio.com, Riz Radio Live 365. I got to record it. Mantis has got to edit it and make it sound normal, but we have a good time doing it. What else are we talking about tonight, man?
I was jumping next into, we've already talked about some nerd culture thing. I was wondering if we could jump over into the, content creator space. Primarily, you put up a video about Brett Cooper and Reagan Conrad.
Absolutely, I'm into it, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, and so this is a Ruslan KD. I love it that he's joining our show.
Yes. So Brett Cooper and the comment section has captivated everyone because we all believed and speculated there was some drama behind the scenes and why she left. And it seems like it's being slow rolled out that there's more stuff going on, but nothing as of yet confirmed. So everything that we say here is speculation. And the words of Ruslan are his own, not that of Fanboy Modeling School, even though Ruslan gets the horn.
Right.
I like
yeah.
Ruslan. A lot of people don't like him. I like him.
Oh yeah, no, I love the dude. He's, you know what's funny? I don't actually put him, it's so weird. I don't actually put him in the Christian content creator space.
Not at all. But he does a lot of Christian content that I watch. You know
he does videos about Christianity, his faith. He says a strong faith. It's very clear. But he does videos about other stuff. He's, you know, he does normal stuff too. And so
he talked about that once. He talked about the content he makes is to captivate and go after the population that exists inside of these internet spaces, man. When I say internet spaces, I mean spaces like the Red Pill, things like that. He wants to pull people in, and that's how he's bringing people in his form of a ministry, which I respect. I dig it, man. He will openly tell you he does not make content for your 60-year-old Baptist grandmother. Like it's not for her. It's not for her.
No, I love it because at one point, originally when I discovered him, I thought he was because I had seen a couple of his Christian videos, and I thought he was, and then he did one about aliens, and so it was like, wait, what's going on? And then like, you know, obviously, which I was eating up with a spoon.
Yeah,
I love those
the girls are still talking about He-Man over there. Dee pointed out that a lot of Disney movies portray the bad to be good and the good to be bad. It's all a part of the scheme. Dee, don't fall for it. Bex went and looked up everyone. The actor is a singer and a dancer. He's been in a few period dramas and also a movie where he's the love interest for another man. So the gay girl audience is definitely already there in regards to but he needs the muscles, Beck says. And that's what ladies say.
Yeah, the actor that got is way too tiny. I hope they give him CGI muscles or something. But you know, before we hit play, I gotta say, so you're right. Brett Cooper has, you know, launched 1,000 ships, and here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I think she is pretty. She's a good content creator. It's weird. She is the point of so much obsession and so much controversy, and yet I don't think anything about her is necessarily amazing. If that makes any sense.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, right.
But here's the thing, right? And first and foremost, obviously, I'm not blind. I wouldn't say Brett Cooper is like a drop dead gorgeous young lady, but she's a well put together young lady, right? And she's pretty. She was paraded in front of millions in the conservative space. How was that not going to be gangbusters, right? They were also going after a younger demographic by way of the Daily Wire, and she did that really well. What I didn't anticipate is how many fans she actually had until they tried to remove her, which is kind of dope because my point is you should not be able to just swap out a personality with the exact same personality.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. It is, you know, I am still, even though the Daily Wire keeps firing people I love, I'm still I still like them or whatever, but they are losing estimated from 10 to 40,000 subscribers a day, and it's still happening. I keep checking the Social Blade and it just keeps going down.
Dude, why did they bring on a fake Candace Owens? Wouldn't that have been dope? Like they bring in some girl named Cerise.
They bring in some other black girl.
Like Cerise Sanders comes on and take over Candace Owens show. That would be amazing.
Yeah, and so so let's see what's going on. And actually, I gotta say, I think actually the new host is hotter than Brett, but I don't think she's as good a host.
You have a never mind. You have a predisposition.
Anyway, let's see what's going on here.
Daily Wire back and forth. It's not really a back and forth, but it takes an interesting turn as Reagan's cousin steps in to offer some information about all of this.
She said his chin isn't strong enough. Speaking about the He-Man guy.
This is two young girls in their early 20s being young girls in their early 20s. There's a lot of crazy statements made in this video. I just think are just dumb. I don't want to watch the whole video. Can I just be honest? Can we just like jump ahead? Because she just kind of says a whole lot of stuff.
She kind of rambles in the beginning. She was such a good friend to her.
So this is Reagan's new host of the comment section. She was Brett's old producer. Took over the show. Cousin and she gives a bit of the backstory of what happened. Okay, and it's very interesting to say the least. So if you guys don't know, Brett Cooper left Daily Wire. It's a whole thing. And her best friend took over. Brett unfollowed her. She's getting toasted, roasted in the comment section. And it's really sad because could Brett have prevented this?
Of
course. Was it really amicable? And then Brett decided to take it personal. You know, and I'm excited to bring you guys our very first 3-day conference called the Bless God Summit, happening March 27th, 28th, 29th in Southern California. And at this conference, we'll have your very own Preston Perry.
Me as an evangelist, I've made it up in my mind that I'm not going to leave people with an excuse not to serve Jesus.
No space.
Dr. Sean McDowell.
Yeah, I'm going to allow this advertisement to go because
our vision with this conference is to equip, empower, and inspire people to do the work of the ministry that God has for them in this time. And at this conference, we'll have your very own Alan Parr and his wife, Jim Parr.
The number one reason, like, you know, people want to get divorced because they want to find someone else who can make them happy. Now, what they don't realize, they're chasing the wind.
John McCrae from What Do You Mean?
What you may be shocked, or you may not be shocked to know, is that the majority of Christians in America, they don't know how to articulate the message of the gospel to non-believers.
Lila Rose.
Love and marriage go together, that sex and marriage go together, that sex can bring life into the world, and that's an amazing thing. That's not a bad thing.
Trizzle Fitness.
Most people fail at dieting because they're just trying to lose weight too fast. What are you in such a rush for?
But where a lot of people get stuck is figuring out what it looks like to walk in that. And so these 3 pillars of our conference will be covering everything from apologetics to family in the home and the marketplace, and how you can lean into those 3 pillars to discover your calling on this side of eternity.
Okay. It is in, looks like
the internet, especially Brett Cooper stands.
We're going to find out, but he had a palm tree, so I assume it's like Florida.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I guess Bex didn't hear about this. She says, wow, her best friend took her spot. Yes. This girl, the blonde girl that we're about to talk about, was her maid of honor at her wedding. And now she took her job. And now they people notice they unfriended each other. They don't talk. Brett took down all the pictures with Reagan in it from the wedding off of her socials. Women, man, women. She says you have to fast forward this. Okay, we went through it. Now let's get into it.
Up in arms over the fact that Brett Cooper recently decided to leave. There's been a lot of speculation over what happened. Why did Brett leave?
I think it was money.
Unfortunately turned into rumors, and then the rumors were taken and ran with to the story I'm about to tell you. So here's where Reagan's part comes in. Reagan was the producer of the comments section. Like I said, they were best friends. So whenever Brett decides to leave, Brett recommends to the Daily Wire that Reagan step in and be the substitute host for a period of time. So Reagan, with her friend's blessing.
So earlier in this, she says Brett decides to leave, and it was 100% her decision.
Yep, that's the claim. They won't say why she decided to leave, but that is what's being said. And again,
but the rumors were that she was forced to say that. Yeah,
I don't think she was forced to stay or go. I think she probably got married, wanted to move on a farm, and probably just didn't want to commute 4 days a week to wherever she's at. Who knows how long that drive is?
Seriously.
You know what I mean? And so it was probably very amicable. Maybe there was she wanted a Jordan Peterson type of arrangement. You guys come to me and do my show at my house.
That sounds great.
Right? And Daily Wire mismanaged their relationship and her value.
Maybe they didn't pay her, basically.
But at the end of the day, she decided to leave. They couldn't come to terms, and she decided to walk away from the negotiations, according to this young lady.
Decides.
So, did you ever see Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise?
Yes.
So what I love is in it, he's just like, what's the answer to 99 out of 100 questions?
Money and sex.
Money. Well, yeah, he says money. And then later on, when he finds out a sexual conspiracy, he's like, what's the answer to the last question? Sex. But that's usually how it is. And so when everyone's trying to come up with these crazy conspiracy theories as to why Brett Cooper would walk away, here's the thing. She had one of the most biggest following counts out of all the Daily Wire heads. She's only been there like 2 years. I think her contract was coming to an end. She was like, you show me the money, basically.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think they didn't. And here's what it is. That's no reason to hate either party.
No. I mean,
right?
Yes, it's a reason to hate the Daily Wire. And I'll tell you
You
why.
really think so?
I think it's a clear reason for her fans to hate the Daily Wire. Like, why didn't you respect her enough to do what was necessary.
We don't know how much she asked for. That's why I'm saying
it doesn't matter. John Jones is asking for $30 million to fight a guy he could.
That's too much. We'll give you 18 plus parking tokens. I'm saying, as a boss, you have to negotiate, right? You know what I'm saying? You can't just give them whatever.
Yeah, but look, how much do you stand to lose? I think the Daily Wire's business plan. I think the Daily Wire's business plan is the wait and see if this blows over. But the Candace Owens thing never really blew over. It never really subsided. It just got worse for them. And then this happened too closely after that. And now people are looking at him crazy. And then you got Ben Shapiro really not owning up to his positions on certain things. This was the worst time not to negotiate with someone, in my opinion.
I feel you, because they just had the Candace thing, and like basically what they end up doing is they're creating content creators who end up going independently, and basically a bunch of people leave the Daily Wire, the fans, and they go right over to that other channel.
Yeah, D's got some interesting points. Check them out.
Oh wait, I'm gonna hit it all, but first, Laney O says, "Dude, content creating ain't for the weak." I feel that, yeah. It is a dog eat dog world. Mm-hmm. Beck says, "Oh no, I'd have to fight her because obviously she's been a snake in the grass for a while. Like, how long have you been plotting to grab my job?" Okay, I feel that.
The minute she told you about it, the minute you told her about it over coffee.
Yeah, there have been times that I was like, "I'm gonna fight Steve right now because he's trying to encroach my content creation."
Yes. I don't know why you say encroach. I have told you multiple times on this broadcast, I am preying on your downfall. Like, I will be.
He's just waiting. He's counting there. He's like, he will fall soon, and I will be there to pick up the pieces and the fans. What if she convinced Brett to leave so she could take over? I mean, they're obviously fighting because you don't take down pictures of you and your bestie off of social. And so the pictures of them at the wedding, she took them down.
Well, wait, you know what, people? This is a truly feminine behavior, and I think it's a good one because I learned it from a woman, and I do it, right? Once I'm done with someone and we're no longer like friends or anything like that, why the hell you need to occupy space on my social media? You're out of there. Like, people will be like, didn't you date this girl for like 8 years? I'm like, what girl? Can you prove that she existed? She's gone. She's gone. Just erase them.
But then obviously because what it is you don't want to bump into that picture because you're hurt. You're hurting.
Exactly. Get him out of here, man. And that's how you start the healing process.
Right. And so obviously Brett is trying to heal from this chick.
Yeah. Well, you were defending her, man, because she's a cute, she's a cutie, right?
No, okay, let me explain. Hold on, let me explain.
In Mantis's worldview, cuteness always trumps rightness.
Let me break it down for you. Let me break it down for you because clearly you have a problem. You don't seem to understand shit. Sorry, pardon my French. So here's what it is. They might have some interpersonal beef,
right?
But that has nothing to do with me. I'm here for the content, right?
Right.
And so if Reagan Conrad is going to do a video several times a day about conservative content and issues I care about, why would I prevent myself from watching it?
Because if the content is not the same quality that you originally joined for, that means you're sticking around for another reason.
When Brett's eventual non-compete wears out and she's allowed to make videos, I can have both of these chicks in my pocket. I can watch both of their videos, and there's no skin off the teeth. And I think it's in people's minds that they're like, I can only have one. Oh, I can't watch a Reagan Conrad video.
I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about particularly you. Like, if we were young and we were in the same social circles as these two young women, Mantis would 100% stop talking to Brett and be like, listen, Brett, you're married now. What's this other girl's name? Reagan?
Reagan, yeah.
You'd be like, Brett, you're married. Reagan needs me more than you do at this point.
Yeah, so wait, no. So you bring up a good point, and I will be the first to admit.
Yeah.
That I admit that the one I thought I could get with would be the person whose side I'm on. And that's young Roy. That's what young Mantis would do. That's what a young Mantis does. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it.
Nothing.
But in a social circle, you could usually probably only pull off one.
Yeah.
You can't have both. But in that content sense, I can have as many creators as I want. I don't have to hate Reagan.
No, you don't.
Right? People are trying to make me hate Reagan.
No one's trying to make you hate Reagan.
I think you're trying to. Beck says, I wanted to fight Steve plenty, Mandis, but at least you're the same height. Yeah.
That's cute. Steve's got a point. Oh, my favorite words.
Her friend probably told her if they didn't agree to your terms, then leave, and I'll go with you.
Oh,
and we all know the rest.
That is a real Eve type of thing to do. I'm Eve, Lilith, all the betrayers. That's the type of thing to do right there.
So yeah. Mantis is the Mantis is not a thing.
Y'all just don't know how men work, right? If the social group is coming to an end, Mantis is trying to forge to keep the resources that made the group great, right? So he's going to stay in contact with the people that are socially motivated. He's going to stay in contact with the well-adjusted people. But when it comes down to two women splitting up a group, Mantis is 100% going to be like, well, let's look at their resumes and who brought the most drama. Which
is it's the only logical way to do it.
I've seen him do it, and it's masterful. Like I was like, this man's Moriarty. He's a man.
Other things, and I gotta say, this is once again, I'm talking about younger Mantis.
Yeah.
The way I thought is like, I would probably factor in things like, let's say I couldn't get with either one of them. Right. They both have boyfriends or whatever. It's not happening. Well, which one has hotter friends? Which one brings more friends to the party? Right?
Yeah.
Things to factor in. Actual tangible things to factor in. While the rest of you are living off some pipe dream about friendship and love or whatever. And so I believe in love. And that's for wifey. But right now we're talking about social circles, which has nothing to do with it. Right?
When the movie Cruel Intentions came out, Mantis just leaned back in the chair and he's like, I don't think they went far enough.
Yeah, so Beck says Mantis supports pretty privilege. I actually think I think I've been pretty clear on this.
Yes.
That I am not only a shallow person, like for instance, I don't like what I call Ugbos in my movies, television. You know what I'm saying? I get
side by side of Brett and the new girl. I was hoping you would get there eventually. Let's get a side by side of Brett.
Is it in the video or do I need to find one?
Yeah, no, it's in the video. I think you can skim back, and we'll have the ladies decide
that she is going to do this, and she
side by side.
Reagan has always loved the Daily Wire. While Brett decided to step away, Reagan has always really enjoyed her time there, and I personally have witnessed how much Reagan loves to do research on Republican media. She loves.
First of all, Republican media. I don't know about.
We can list that as a hobby now.
You know what? I'll find it.
Oh, video game commercial. What's a video game commercial for? Oh, I'll never know.
That's brutal. I don't think anyone over there would be like, I make Republican media. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not even part of that, and I feel like that's yucky to say.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I love fanboys because we don't have freedom to record this when we're doing the radio show.
I've watched her grow and flourish as Daily Wire, and she has literally just stepped into each position full force, and she absolutely loved her time being able to be the substitute host. However, that being said, Reagan wanted them to continue searching for other hosts that could actually step in full time. So she's a substitute host while they're doing this search, and they decided they didn't like any of the other host options. They wanted Reagan. So the Daily Wire reaches out and offers the position to Reagan.
Reasonable. Hire inside the company.
I wonder if Brett knew this was going on. I wonder if Brett ever gave her blessing. And if she didn't give her blessing, I wonder if 10 years down the road she regrets it.
I downloaded two.
Just let her.
Reagan could have went on to take over the show, and it would have been good had Brett been like, "Guys, this is my best friend. Listen, I'm just in a different season of life. I'm gonna live on a farm and be a mom.
Why wouldn't she just?
We're gonna have to rearrange this, but like, Daily Wire,
full
Reagan, they got my love. I'll even appear on the show. And she,
I agree that, like, honestly, the best way, and like this actually is true about comic books too. The best way to like let your fan base accept somebody is you have them come on occasionally. You let people get used to them. They'll be like, look at how Brett and Reagan hang out together. We're good friends. They're cool. Occasionally let Reagan. Here's what it is: if Brett left civilly, if she really had no problem with Daily Wire, she would have stayed on a little while to hand off the torch to Reagan. There's no footage of them even in the same video. So there's definitely beef there.
Bex brought up a very valid point in the chat. Why are we trusting women named Reagan? Red flag. Bex doesn't believe in trusting women with men names, is what she's saying.
You know what that is? That's a white girl name. That's what Bex is having a problem with. I think this is a racial issue, Bex, and not a name thing. I'm sure Reagan somewhere is like, why? She's like, you know what? I don't trust girls named Shaquanda.
Whoa,
that's the equivalent. That's the equivalent bigotry. And I'll die on that. I'll die on that horse.
Hill.
There we go. Lady says, "Are we the drama girls?" Well, Lainey, now that you bring that up, why are we just girls named Reagan? It's like wild.
Didn't do that. Now I don't know why she didn't do that, but had she done that, because she didn't do that, is that something she's going to regret 10 years from now?
That's a good point.
That's a question. Will Brett Cooper?
Now Reagan is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Brett has told Reagan that she wants Reagan to come with her, to leave the Daily Wire with her. And she told her that she could be her producer. However, that being said, it would be months before Brett knew of what she wanted Reagan to exactly be doing. It would be months until Reagan got paid by Brett. And also
because she would be going to work at a startup.
Yeah.
Now, some people would say that's your day one. That's your bridesmaid. That's your best friend. You ride it out.
Or also, like, do you like the corporate life, or do you want
to be a part of a startup?
Yeah, be part of, like, not even just start. It's like what we do. This is like way more fun than a cubicle and a and like a glass offices. You know what I'm saying?
But if you live in Nashville, you're acclimated to that lifestyle. You're already there, and someone's like, "Go do this thing in a dude's garage."
Is that so?
In a dude's garage?
You're giving up your dream job to go work in a barn.
Yeah.
I
don't know. Everyone has different
preferences.
We all have a higher risk tolerance. Everyone that works here has a higher risk tolerance because we know how close to the edge things can be. Right?
Yeah.
When we doing these sales,
like, woo!
We know how close to the edge things can get.
Yeah.
You know? So
Who's just basically told us there are weeks where
some
like,
people have different risk tolerance.
Reagan would not be getting as much.
That new show, the comment section with Reagan Conrad, flopping. She still got a job.
She still got a job. She still got a paycheck.
That AdSense doesn't have to pay her rent.
AdSense ain't got to pay the rent.
Well, here's what it is. Here's this is the funny thing about like how powerful the comment section with Brett Cooper was. She was approaching 5 million subs, and so she can lose 20 to 30,000 subs a day, and she still hasn't dropped below 4 million. She still is getting.
Views look like? What are the views looking like?
Actually, that's a good question. Here, run this thing while I look it up.
For sure, the Daily Wire is able to pay her a great sum of money. Brett wouldn't be able to pay her quite as much. While Brett is doing quite well for herself, it wouldn't be able to be quite as much. So Reagan would be taking a significant pay cut. Now, my cousin is doing fantastic in life, but I don't know about you. Most people cannot just take several months off of work. So all of that considered, along with the fact that Reagan loves what she's doing. She believes in the Daily Wire, and
I can't believe that we didn't ask this fundamental question as two men of color, and none of the women of color or the women in general in the chat didn't ask this question. And I can't curse, so you're gonna have to curse for me. Who exactly gave this blabbermouth the authority to come out and say any of this stuff? I've been listening to this woman for about 15 minutes now, and who gave the cousin?
So she's Reagan. Yeah, she's Reagan's cousin, aka a profiteer, somebody who is like, you know what I'm saying. Anytime there's a scandal and someone's like, "Wait a minute, I'm that dude's barista. I'm gonna go do interviews." And they're like, what was he like when he came for his coffee? And he's like, he's been tense, man. And like they act like they know stuff. She's a cousin, but once again, we don't know how close are they? Do they chill often?
I'm looking at her general outfit, and I just feel as if though this young lady's a drag to hang out with.
What you're saying is she's too poor to hang out with with Reagan.
And she's just like, she personally looks like a drag to hang out with, man. Like she just, you know what I'm saying. She comes around when you're a younger person, you're just like, oh.
So Bex does say people say my name is a white girl's name, so you're wrong, man. You know what? Actually, you know what it is? Yeah, Bex is. Yeah, Bex is a white girl name. I'm sorry. I don't mean to hate. But yeah, you white. Lainey was like, well, damn. I think she's responding to me saying that these are the drama chicks. Bex Brett is also a masculine name. I honestly do hate these so-called unisex names. I don't believe in unisex names. Basically, everything in this universe is either male or female. I just said it. Cancel me. Okay. So yeah. Brett, is it a man or a female? Is it a man's name or a woman's name?
Brett?
Yeah.
What is Brett short for?
I think Brett is Brett. I don't think she's Brettley or something.
Yeah, I would say Brett is a man's name. So
yeah, I think it's
while we're at it, so is Bobby. And so is all the
actually I think Bobby with an eye is like cute.
No, stop it. Be consistent, you weirdo. You see, that was it in real time right there. It's like you stand up on your pulpit and you're like, everything is good. Oh, Bobby's got 2 eyes in her name.
No, I'm saying with an eye. Yeah, with an eye. I don't know. Peyton, Billy, Shiloh. Yeah. He's like, I was wondering who the heck she is.
Really enjoys being in front of the camera. She loves it. You can watch, guys. Like everybody's accusing her of having acting classes.
The point she made is like most people can't just take months and months and months off of work to go do a startup.
That is a great point.
Now, here's the flip side to that. And I'm not trying to be insensitive. If you're working your dream job and you're a producer at the Daily Wire, and they did that for 2 years, and you're in your early 20s, my question would be like, why not? You don't got kids, you don't got a family, you're making great money. Why don't you have 12 months of emergency fund? Why aren't you living below your means? And you can go start that venture, and perhaps in Brett's thing, you become an
now he's working class shaming people.
No, he's not working class. He's asking, weren't there any other ways for you not to be a snake?
Right.
Perhaps Marisa just said she needs to call into Dave Ramsey.
Might need to go to the other company in Nashville and sit down with Uncle Dave. And get your money right.
Great. That's great.
You know,
it is funny.
Yeah.
What do you think she was making? She's probably making 6 figures, if not multiple.
Definitely
six
six figures.
And
Brett was bringing definitely
in Nashville,
and in Tennessee, and they're out in Nashville too.
Yeah, in your early 20s.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me you don't have 6 months of living expenses in your early 20s, making crazy money like that?
Yeah.
I don't know her situation. But I also know lifestyle creep is a real thing.
That's true. And
said lifestyle creep.
To counter, if she does love her job, that she loves the Daily Wire.
That's a better argument.
Yeah. If she really does love it, then it's like, wait, I gotta leave and take a pay cut, and the job I already love is offering me an even better position. It's like, it's not.
Yeah, that's a way better argument, in my opinion.
That is how Reagan's always been. That's how she's always spoken. Yes, maybe they have some of the same mannerisms. They've been best friends. Who of you has a best friend and doesn't start kind of talking like them? You usually have the same lingo. So.
Oh wow. But I wanted to address. I got the comment section, channel up right in front of me right now, and so let's see. So a video she put out just 30 minutes ago, 1.7K views. Okay, that's only a half an hour. Okay, I dig it. One she put out a day ago, 28,000 views. 2 days ago, 41,000. 3 days, 96,000. Right. It doesn't seem like she's ever breaking 100. 3 weeks ago, she put out one that got 146K. and another one that did 134K.
So the numbers are dropped under 100,000, and there's.
But like, I'll give you an example. Some of the last ones Brett Cooper did, 627,000, 521,000, 408, 406, 550, 1 million.
Yeah,
she did one on the Walmart girl that was 1 million views. 1 million views for Sabrina Carpenter's Only 25 video. So yeah, Brett was significantly dwarfing the views. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And Bex says she's basically defending her snake cousin. Yes, Bex, that's what.
Yes, exactly. That's why this woman's here. And of course, Ruslan, being a content creator, as we do, as content creators do, you put on the video that you have. Right? Like this video service, she's like, I need to make content. Let me just put this on, right? But yeah, this girl's a terrible source.
Yeah. She's an unreliable witness. And she's clearly filming in a bathroom of some sort. In a hotel.
Or something. Lady says I would more associate Brett with a man. So is Ryan, Charlie. Yes, Ryan, Charlie, those are definitely, let's put Bobby over in the man's camp. If your name's Bobby, you a man. Yeah. I only know girl Baileys. Yes, there's no male Bailey. Bailey is
I've met a few dudes named Bailey before.
First name Bailey.
Wow,
pause.
I mean, there's a famous drink named Bailey's. I'm pretty sure it wasn't made for no.
That's a last name. That's a last name.
Bailey's a strong Irish
name though. But yeah, no, I think we're done here, right?
Yeah, we're done here.
Watching the cousin.
Get the cousin off the screen.
So do you want to get into Wes Huff?
Let's do it.
Okay, so for those who don't know, a big time Christian historian, super nerd. You're gonna see he's a nerd. Got invited on Joe Rogan.
Wait, get his credentials. Get his credentials right, because anyone can be a nerd. Because this actually goes back to a conversation we were talking about, and it starts with the Billy Carson thing: self-taught versus credentialed. Your feelings on it's like Billy Carson is clearly your cousin that's been reading a few books that he found at a bar. Watching a bunch of YouTube videos, and he staggered on to the college campus and bumped into some guy who's about to starve from doing his PhD dissertation, and then he's clearly cranky about it. But Wes Huff, a Christian historian, theologian, and textual variance scholar, right? That's the most important part. Went on Joe Rogan, which is usually the home of where a lot of scholarly people go, except for Billy Carson. There was one thing I cued in early on this interview, man. Did you notice how Rogan basically said he knew, and this is how quick you people get sold out, man. He knew Billy Carson was full of crap. He was like, I just let him on. He's articulate. He's great to listen to. But yeah. And he just, let that sit for a second. And then Andrew Schultz said the same thing. Like, we're not going to fact check anything. We're just going to let him talk. Because Billy Carson was a clown that they let come up and entertain.
But that's also another part of, unfortunately, guys, and I'm not saying it's a scam. It's just it's the way of the content creator. That you have someone, even a crazy person, comes on. You don't get much out of fact checking them and making them be real. You just let them ramble.
Yeah.
And so, originally Billy Carson tried to, in his debate with Wes Huff, he tried to make it look like he was like, he thought he was all this. He's like, I've been interviewed by some of the greats, even Joe Rogan. And then Wes Huff is like, yeah, but Joe Rogan isn't a biblical scholar. He wouldn't be able to call you on a false statement if you said one.
Yeah.
But however, that's not what Joe Rogan's podcast is about. Joe Rogan's podcast is not about zinging people, which is, once again, Kamala Harris's mistake. Her followers are all like, he would have made her look like a fool. No, he wouldn't. He would have let her just talk.
Yeah, she would have made herself look like a fool.
That's a different thing. Yeah, that would be a different.
You know what else I got from this, man? Just really quick, bro. And this is on a personal level, and I just won't beat a dead horse. 2023 was exhausting when it came to debating internet scholarship, right? And I'm not even a person that's a scholar in these things. I am way down in the laity. Huh? See what I did there? Way down in the laity in this conversation. And so were you. But you have to admit, 2020 to 2023 felt like the most difficult time to grasp onto what is factual versus what is straight up nonsense, bro. Like, I have never been more frustrated than 2020 going into 2023. Like, so many things I was exposed to that people quite literally tried to present to me as fact. And I'm like, where are you getting this information from?
It was an explosion of misinformation or disinformation. I don't know the difference, whatever. But like, it was because it was an explosion of the internet, right? And so you had, remember what Spoon was like. You had these idiot kids who had nowhere to go, nothing to do all day. They were quarantined, and then they got on the internet. And what did they do? Most of them were just listening and hanging out, right? But a lot of them were just creating more pollution on the internet.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's probably the same about grifters. That's probably people like Billy Carson, who's like, they have makeup, history, and science, and they have this pseudoscience, the pseudo belief. And they're like, I'm going to make videos about how crocodile aliens invented Mexico. And people are like, this guy's
that's absolutely true. I keep trying to explain it to you. It was crocodile hunters from Mars. I don't know why you can't get this right, bro.
and people would be like, this dude's so learned, because their YouTube channel, they'd be very confident in the way they say things.
Oh my goodness. Right. It's go ahead. What do you do? I can't hear him. Am I going deaf again?
Are you guys able to see?
God. Oh, yes, we can see.
Did it turn black?
Yes.
What the fuck is it?
Oh.
Okay. That's weird. You can see it now, right?
Yeah, I can see it. We can see it before. We just can't. Well, I can't hear it, but I can hear you. But that's all right, as long as the audience can hear it. Can you guys hear it? Can the audience hear the audio? We'll find out. I assume this is the part where Joe Rogan's talking about being able to wake up at 4 a.m. and be able to rattle off anything he factually knows about. Yeah, they can't hear it either, buddy. Right.
Yeah, and so like he just said, he was like, we're not going to research anything. We're just going to let him talk.
Right. They couldn't hear the audio. But fill him in on what he just said.
They couldn't hear the audio?
No. Oh, you don't have to play it again. It's okay. Just tell us, give us the abbreviated version. We trust you. You're a reliable source.
No, I'm a horrible source. You should never trust Mantis. I say all sorts of crazy shit, and I lie to you for clicks. So here, I'm going to find it. Here, entertain them real quick.
So the thing about why so many people were excited, and I have to be in full transparency, why so many people were excited about the Wes Huff thing. So him having the informal debate, which is the best way to say it, or just confrontational conversation with Billy Carson, was he called out one of the internet's biggest scammers in regards to ancient history, right? And then that turned into a whole thing because that guy who had been scamming people and telling outright lies, and we'll learn from him, Mr. Rogan, was just being used as a patsy. He could have just let the whole situation blow over, but Billy Carson started sending cease and desist letters to Wes Huff. He showed up to the guy's house who moderated the quote-unquote debate at 2:30 in the morning with a cease and desist. Handwritten, by the way, a handwritten cease and desist.
Probably with crayons. Probably with crayons.
So that's what made this whole thing crazy. And then Joe Rogan brought Wes Huff on to have an actual conversation about ancient biblical literature. Hit it.
Right. And so Lainey says, as much as I miss Spoon, I don't miss the kids. They made me miserable. You know what? They worshipped you, Lainey. You were their mommy or something, right? Or something like that. Some sick relationship.
Oh my goodness.
Joe Rogan Podcast, check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night.
No.
All day.
Oh wow, I didn't know who info was that one.
Very nice to meet you.
Joe, pleasure.
So I, like many people, was introduced to you because of the debate that you had with Billy Carson.
Quote unquote.
You know, it's one of those things where it's very unfortunate when people get caught with their pants down. And I'm not an expert in many things, but the things that I am an expert on, you could wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning and ask me about those things. And I go, oh yeah, no.
Yeah,
this is what it is.
Yeah.
I know, you know, like martial arts or comedy, I could tell you, I could give you an expert version of reality. It seems like he does not have that. And he is a wonderful talker, and it's a lot of fun. I like watching his videos. I love all that ancient history stuff, and even the most ridiculous tinfoil hat aspects of ancient. It's fun.
It's entertainment.
But I know that there's a different, like Andrew Schultz and I had a discussion about this. Like he said when he had Billy on the podcast, he said, we're not going to fucking research anything. We're not going to search anything. We're not going to do anything. We'll just let him talk because it's fun.
Yeah, no, it makes
Andrew's
sense.
awesome.
There's no benefit
but
in
when he was on
down
with
a
you,
show like
it was
Joe Rogan.
quite apparent that you are an actual expert in the Bible and in many religious texts, and that he didn't necessarily have the facts straight. So what was the fallout of all of that?
Well, it's interesting you say the expert thing, because I literally was asked to do it 24 hours beforehand. So I had like the least amount of preparation going into it. And I was okay with that because I'd listened to Billy Carson. Well, and I listened to the stuff he'd said. So I knew enough about the ways that he'd articulated things about the ancient Near East and the Bible and Christianity to know enough that his level is
I have to be honest with you, man. Like, in many ways I feel vindicated, and I'm sure you do, man. Like, I can't tell you how many conversations I've been sucked into in regards to the ancient Near East and the lineage of people from that land. And I'm just like, what is happening right now, bro? What is happening?
You know what I think is more dangerous. And so there are people who say the most radical thing. I'm like, you believe what? And they're like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like remember who was it? That politician who thought that he thought the pyramids were for maintaining grain. That's what his church taught him. And I know the story of Joseph. You know, Joseph coming to Egypt and being the dream interpreter for the Pharaoh. Yeah. They don't say that pyramids did that, so I don't know what's going on there. Yeah. But like, you know, but the one I worry about are the mainstream fallacies. Yes. Right. And so there's a couple of them, like what, you know, a lot of them people are like, the Bible has been written and rewritten so many times and blah, blah, blah. And so, and I love that what Wes is here to say and point out to people. He's like, no, we have old versions. And so we have versions that are thousands of years old. So and we can see that it has not been altered. Yeah. Or if someone tried to alter it, we fixed it.
Bro, it's
right.
It's one of the most lazy arguments that's floated around in history. There's only one other thing that's more frustrating than that is the whole, there are 20,000 Protestant denominations.
That's totally ridiculous.
And whenever someone says something like, at this point, it's not even worth debating them. And people kept asking why everyone's so excited. Why everyone's so excited Wes Huff is going on Joe Rogan. Because it's like, once and for all, this will have to be time-stamped on the internet. If you believe this, you sound like a crazy person. And you don't realize you sound like a crazy person. You won't be told you sound like a crazy person. But what does it take before you completely do a 180 on some of the stuff you believe because of the internet or you've heard in a coffee shop? The Bible phone game lie is one of the worst lies to ever be propagated on the internet. It's been translated into a, no, that's not. The ESV is not a different translation than the
right. But what it is, when they hear that there's different translations, they think that they're like radically different. Like it's like one is telling you to kill your mom and the other one's telling you to kill your dog. And it's like, no. If you put the passages next to each other, they're basically the same. They just use different phrasing. And you're right. The telephone game. They always say the telephone game. They always say there's a lot of these fallacies. And what's really great about Wes Huff is that he's able to combat it because he knows and he has the old he has access to these old transcripts, and so.
Which surprisingly, you all do too. With one Google search, if you go to the correct place, you too can have access to the truth. Right. But you choose not to click on the one where the truth is. You decide to click on the video with the crazy person in a suit jacket.
Well, you know what? It is crazy. People are like fun to listen to, right? And so, like an example is, but you are right. It's funny that people will like some guys talking about aliens, like Billy Carson. Billy's like, alien this, alien that, and people will listen all day, and then someone's like, "Yo, do you want to check out the gospel and what it actually says?" And they're like, "No, I'm good." but you just spent 4 hours listening to a man with no credentials just go on about nonsense.
But it's insanely funny to me, man. Once upon a time, someone told me that Martin Luther King had a certain view on A, right? And I was like, that can't be true. Until I went and researched it. Now, on my way to research it, I found many sites that were explaining his view on A, that tried to explain away his view on A. And I was like, well, I'm not going to believe it until I know he said it. So then I found his view on A was one of his dissertations in school, and he wrote it. And I read it, and I was like, oh, I have to recant the things I said. He did say these things, and he believed these things. So what am I going to choose to believe? What he had to say about the subject, or what the millions of uneducated people who are commentating and explaining it away? Who are you going to believe? Are you going to believe the facts, or you don't even have to believe Wes Huff? Go look it up yourself, man. He's giving you the place to go look it up.
And I love that the Bible study we've been going to. I do love that. At one point, one of the guys instructing it he was like, you always have to check. You always have to double check. They're like, even what things we say, double check.
Yeah, be a Marine is usually what's commonly thrown around. Be a
as soon as someone makes some sort of says something about the Bible, you should probably double check and make sure it's actually saying that. Yeah. But for those who don't know, this dude, because he's only technically famous as of like this last week, right?
Right.
And so before his debate with Billy Carson, he's a Bible historian. He's Canadian. He's clearly, you can probably tell he's Canadian and he's sweet. He's like a nice guy. He says that he only had 12,000 subs.
Yeah.
And then he had that debate with him, and now he's blowing up. He's on his way to 1 million. He keeps increasing, and he's, and then out of nowhere, Joe Rogan is willing to have him on. That's a huge.
Yeah, his YouTube videos were educational and ministry based at best, right? He would go to different places doing textual variants, talking about these different topic matters in front of churches, in front of other students. It was educational. He was never really that guy to refute or rebut. He just made educational videos. Then he got into a commentary space. He got called to do the Wes Huff thing because the other guy, and he says this himself, Mark, I believe his name is, the guy who moderated the quote-unquote debate, didn't feel comfortable talking to Billy. Now, he's going to go on and say something here, he being Wes, even with a day's prep, I love the thoughtfulness behind this answer. He listened to hours of Billy's stuff heading up to it.
Right, and there's some people who would just watch excerpts. There's certain people who, whatever. He actually does his study, and I think we both talked about this. He recently, because he's being challenged in all these debates now that he's like the top dog.
Yeah,
and he had a video that says, "I'm not going to debate you," and he said, and he's like, "I'm not obligated to debate every single person who's calling me out." And he said, "And if I do choose to debate you, we're going to have 6 months prep."
Yeah.
But I like that. That's actually a thorough because he can know what they are about. He can research his topics. That's how you have a debate.
I think we had this conversation once. It was either I had the conversation with you or I had it with Berlin. I can't remember who, but someone asked me why I don't really like or participate in the debate bro culture on the internet. And it's not because like it's intimidating or anything like that. It's the fact of, and I'll give you an example. I jumped into one of those type of streams on Spoon. I was like, this isn't really a debate. No one's actually verifying or fact checking something. We got into the etymology of a word that someone had brought up in the street. I was like, no, that actually comes from this, and that's slang that got taken from here. And I'm watching all these people, and I want to point that they were of a certain hue telling me about black slang. I'm like, they're like, that's not true. And I'm like, no, it's true. But the problem is you guys don't want to deal with fact. You want to deal with opinion, bro. I respect Wes Huff. I will say this before we let him finish. I hope Wes Huff, after this moment, goes back into obscurity. Because even in that video he released, he was like, dude, I have a wife. I have kids. I'm doing my thesis.
Right.
I'm not a full-time YouTuber. This is just something I do. You know,
I agree with you, and I think he's happier there. I think he's happier there. Or you know what? I hope he stays in like a mid-range. He's in not impressive numbers. He shouldn't have a million or 2 million.
No, I think he's a good guy, man, and I think the internet will eat him up and spend the rest of its days looking for a way to expose him.
Right, and he doesn't need to one day get triggered by someone who said something mean on Twitter, and then he's trying to debunk them and going on. He should live his happy life. God bless him.
Yeah. The word that came up was a pygmy, and I was like, oh.
I think, I've heard this before where people say that the word picnic comes from, blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm like, I don't think that's where that comes from.
Beck says those lives are always so chaotic. Yeah. Trying to hone in on those type of conversations, Mantis, and get people to like stick to one thing, man. But in a way, I always knew one thing, man. I was like, this craziness that COVID brought on, like the alternative facts phase, I'm like, it can't last forever. Like, we have to get back to a sense of normalcy at one point where people are going to be like, well, that was entertaining, but let's get back to reality now.
Well, what it is? I do notice that like, COVID launched 1 million podcasts or YouTube channels.
Yeah.
But you notice none of these people stuck with it. They're all like fading out, and they're like getting back to, they're going back to whatever dungeon they came from.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? Would you prefer to go to, are you going to hear the truth of a subject, or are you going to be persuaded by the best articulated opinion?
Say that one more time.
So if you show up to a debate, do you want to hear the truth, right? Do you want to hear the truth of a subject, like unrefutable facts and truth? Or are you going to a debate to be swayed by the best articulated argument?
That's so fun. That's so fun. Oh my God. That's both the hardest but greatest question you could have ever asked me. And so for those who don't know, in a past life, I wanted to be a lawyer. And I don't really mean past life. I mean, when I was younger, when I was a little more naive, in high school, I went to legal outreach, which was like this extracurricular where we do mock trials and all this stuff. So I'm really into like lawyering stuff. And so here's the thing. Obviously, I want the truth and I love the truth. Although I am always impressed when someone makes a good argument. And here's what it is. The best argument isn't always the truth.
Right.
And so I'll give you an example. I have a friend who she didn't work out with a divorce attorney, and she fired the divorce attorney. She was like, F you, you're done. And they had only just began. So she was like, I want my money back. And every time she would say something about the divorce attorney would say, well, that's a characterization of me. That's a characterization of me. And she kept using this language. And she's like, why does she keep saying that? I was like, because she's trying to discredit facts. You're exhibiting facts. And in an argumentative way, she's saying that's just a characterization. Here's what it is. Saying that the sky is blue is not a characterization. That's real. That's a fact. Right. But here's what I'm saying. I applaud that woman for being smart enough to keep using it, saying it's a characterization.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly.
I love a good argument. I love a good argument or a good twisted way. Even when who this Luigi guy, who's killing people in the streets or whatever. This entire time, every time something came up, I would say his lawyer could argue. His lawyer could argue.
Yeah.
His lawyer could argue. Now, do I think he's a cold-blooded murderer who needs to pay? Yes, he does. But I'm saying there are certain windows that his lawyer could take, and I'm impressed with them. Or like during the OJ thing.
Yeah, okay, that was brilliant. Johnny Carson, who'd been dealing with the civil rights movement for years. It's almost something you read in a book. The good man who had been fighting the good fight later in his life defends a murderer by putting the system on trial.
Yes, so good.
So good.
So brilliant. I respect it. I respect
bad. So good and so bad at the same time.
Right. It is bad. It's fucked up that he's helping a murderer, but at the same time, it's his arguments were brilliant.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's see what this fresh-faced Canadian has to say.
He looks so happy.
It's pretty surface, but the fallout was that not only did he not want us to release the conversation, but then he started throwing out cease and desist letters, and then he started, trying to sue people. So, I mean, I was never worried because I'm a Canadian, and anybody who's tried to sue internationally knows that.
Good luck.
Yeah, right. Yeah. As far as I understand it, he would have had to file a claim in a Canadian court that would have been reviewed to have legal precedence. That he'd have to prove that he could win.
What was his argument?
Apart from the fact that he was embarrassed that he lost.
Well, yeah, that's not really an argument, right? We've all been there. You're hungover, thinking about all the dumb stuff you did last night, and wondering if anybody remembers. Unfortunately, someone does dry January, and
in 24 hours notice to do this.
But if you're a public figure, he's clearly a public figure. Is that even? Can you actually say no?
No, you can't do it.
So what was does he have a lawyer that wrote this cease and desist? Is he a lawyer?
No. So he actually, it's interesting because Mark Menard, who was the guy who hosted this interaction, he sent Mark a handwritten one. And then he eventually gave Mark an official one from his lawyer. So I actually was
okay. So the first thing I want to point out with the Billy Carson thing, who writes anything by hand right now?
Crazy people.
It's already the indication that this man is sick. There is something wrong with him that he would handwrite a cease and desist letter and hand it in.
Yeah,
crazy. Even the craziest amongst them would type it. Right, would type it in and print it out.
An old school typewriter. Dear lawyers.
Even that's more sane than handwriting it. A handwritten, that's top tier nuts.
I have to agree. I mean, we don't have time to go through the entire opening segment, but what's great about this, and I want to ask you this because this was some of the critiques that we talked about the other night, and but you were worried about Wes's gospel presentation. Now, there are two trains of thought. One of them is wrong, and I agree with the one that's right. Billy laid out a gospel presentation, and in fact, he did it in such a masterful way. Wes laid out such a masterful gospel presentation that I think that a lot of people just wanted him to sit up there and say to Joe for 2 hours straight, "Jesus is Lord! Jesus is Lord! Jesus is Lord!" What are your thoughts?
Here's what it is. If you're going to reach someone like Joe Rogan, which it was just funny that I never thought that was the thing, but apparently the whole internet was hoping that this is what it would come of. They're like, he's going to turn Joe Rogan into a Christian overnight, right? And this 1 3-hour period is going to make him a Christian.
Yeah. After years of disbelief, not that it can't happen, but after drugs and disbelief, I wonder if some of you have even had a conversion story like that, or did it take time? But go ahead.
I will say in this episode, he definitely showed more of the Christian compelled stuff that I'm looking for. That I'm like, makes me be like, this man is a Christian. This man is a Christian. Because, like I said, some of his videos just seem so just historically accurate. I'm not even sure if he is a Christian. I'm like, I just got a lesson about papyri.
But what's wrong with that? What's wrong with
No,
that?
there's nothing wrong with it. Here's what I'm saying. That's not all I'm saying is that's not my favorite Christian content. I want that emotion. I want the evangelist to be like, are you feeling convicted? It's the kind of stuff. So and that's not who he is, but that's fine. He's great who he is. There's a different place for everybody. I will say that I do love that at the end, like toward the end, he was like, well, my question for you is, Joe, what's your take on Jesus?
Oh,
and he had Joe Rogan talk about it. And so you could tell, I don't know if Joe Rogan's just being polite because he's got a Christian in front of him or what, but Joe was very, very complimentary toward our Lord and Savior.
Right. Not that matters. I want to set the record straight. Joe Rogan's beliefs on Jesus don't change who Jesus is for a second. But when you're looking at someone trying to help someone understand the truth of Jesus, it was a beautiful moment. It was a beautiful moment.
And it's weird. What I find weird is I just wanted to see Wes talk about the debate and talk about other things. But all these other people who they're taking clips from this, just like us, and putting it in their shows on YouTube, they were all hoping that Wes would be the guy to convert Joe Rogan. And not only do I thought that was weird. Like, people were like, well, if he becomes Christian, even Ruslan was like, if he becomes Christian, people need to not harass him. They need to just let him grow as Christian. And I'm like, slow down. slow down, bro.
Bro, you know what the crazy part is about that train of thought? And shout out to all the people. I know there were people who I think were on my side of the table, and I will stick by this. I didn't want him to go on there to convert Joe. I just wanted him to go on there and have the timestamp refuting some of the greatest lies ever told, right? And then, because here's the thing, the refutation comes out, then the atheists have to respond, right? But the atheists have to respond point by point. You don't get to just make stuff up. So you either send your best to respond or don't let the internet idiots respond. That's what I'm sick of, man. I'm sick of pseudo scholars on the internet who people are just like, well, you know what? That sounds like it could be right. It doesn't matter if it sounds like it could be right.
That's what so what it is it's like, that's what these spiritual these pseudo Christian spiritualists, progressives are, right? And so they look at the Bible, and with every story or aspect of the Bible, they say to themselves, does that work in my own worldview? Does that fit into my own perception of reality? And if it doesn't, I will erase it.
Right.
Which is just that is utter nonsense.
Yeah, that part is definitely utter nonsense. Also, there's just a point A and there's a point B and there's a point of facts, right? And again, my thing with Wes going on there was, I know it's not going to change and it's not going to stop, but the telephone game, statements like this, the various different translations, it's so hard to pin people down on these conversations. I'm going to be honest with you, man, that I had given up. And I had found a lot of peace. I don't know if you know this about me, man. I'd given up on yeah, go ahead and believe that. I think I was at a point where I'm like, you know what? Keep believing it. There's no point in me trying to convince you that that's absolute nonsense. But I wasn't looking for him to convert Joe. I do want to give him a shout out for having the conversation that he had. And then Mel Gibson coming on and giving Joe all the Jesus he could stand.
I still need to watch that episode. I was like, wow, we got Wes Huff and Mel Gibson in 1 week. In 1 week.
Do you think he took a shot at Jordan Peterson? Wes?
I didn't see the Mel Gibson thing.
No. Jordan, Wes Huffman. Do you think he took a shot at Jordan Peterson? Did you see that portion of the podcast with him and Joe?
I'm forgetting. Refresh my memory.
Right after the part where he asked Joe what you believe, what do you think about Jesus and all this, and Joe starts to give his explanation. They start talking about Peterson, and this is where people were like, he definitely gave a gospel presentation talking about Wes. He was like, I think Peterson comes so close, but he gets stuck looking at the trees in the forest. He looks at Jesus as an architect and a moral framework when he's like, well, Jesus doesn't even allow you to believe that about him. He's like, Jesus deplores moralism. And then he just starts unpacking it right in front of Joe Rogan. And I'm like, this is really happening. He's really saying all this stuff on Joe Rogan right now. Your thoughts, big guy.
I know. So I do think it was here's what it is. I think it was an intentional reference to him in not an attack, but a critique. But once again, as you know, I don't like such tactics, as we're all Christians and we're all flawed, and we all have different opinions and different takes. And I don't think Jordan Peterson necessarily. Look, I think he's an incredible, faithful man. I know his belief stream that I don't follow, that I don't agree with.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't like it when these guys take shots at each other.
Well, he didn't take a shot at him on a personal level. He took a shot at his theology.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I don't like it when people attack each other's theology. Like I said, and I think you don't agree with me on this. I would say that even Joel Osteen,
oh boy,
even though he has a theology that I wouldn't follow. Let me finish, bro. Let me finish. Even though he has a theology that I wouldn't follow, I would not actively say he's a fake Christian and he's, call him out and be like, stuff like that. because remember,
right?
There's only like a handful of things you must believe to be a Christian and to be saved. Right. And so like I'm saying, like if you believe that Jesus Christ is God incarnate, here and died for our sins, who died and was resurrected, you are saved. And so if you believe that, but then somehow you believe that like angels are aliens and Moses had green skin or whatever it is.
The Joel Osteen thing was probably a bad point to pick, because First Timothy talks about shepherds and pastors, and they're held to a different standard.
So I'm just gonna say, like, yeah, I mean, well, we could debate that. That's probably for the layman. That's probably for the layman, and we should debate that on the layman.
Are you trying to make a case for aliens? Because I'll let you believe in aliens. I permit it.
No, I believe in aliens. I don't think that they are. People try to think that the Greys are angels. They're not angels. They're just like whatever. But actually, my actual take on aliens, you know what my biggest take on aliens is?
What's that, buddy?
I think that we can save them, and I think we can bring Jesus to them.
My greatest take on aliens is they don't have souls. And if they were created, they're not created in God's image. And then you can finally live in a world where you can accost aliens freely.
So, no, I want to accost the clones freely. Aliens I'm into. I'll accept an alien over a clone, right? But you know the Catholic Church has a stance on aliens, right?
I did not know that.
And this is going to fit into your worldview, so you'll like this. Oh, it's funny because they already have a stance prepared and written that if aliens ever reveal themselves, they're going to say they're also created by God and therefore deserve mercy.
Oh. Listen, I don't accept them as an authority, but I wouldn't go out and just kill aliens. If they exist,
please don't.
I wouldn't kill clones either.
I'm bored. I'm killing the clone. No, but basically, I honestly have this vision where, I think we could bring Jesus to the aliens.
It's so funny. I just sent a bunch of Christians a meme with Christians taking the gospel to aliens with machine guns and stuff.
No, without the machine guns, with the love and peace, man. With the love and peace, the aliens will accept it.
So all in all, man, Wes Huff on Joe Rogan Experience, man. It finally happened. What do you give it? 5 out of 5 mics. What do you give it, man? 5 being amazing. How did he do? What did you feel about the podcast? What would you change, buddy?
I'm gonna give it a 4 mics.
Okay.
Where I would give Trump and JD Vance both 5 mics. I'm gonna give this 4, and you know what it is? This wasn't like the most scandalous or revealing episode. I think Wes Huff never said anything that shocked me. I didn't suddenly have a different view of him as I did with when Trump and JD were on.
Right.
However, there were these moments that I've actually watched multiple times. Because I watch other Christian channels and like people will be like, well, I want to bring this up, and like I'll be like, yeah, that was a good moment, and there were a lot of good moments.
It was very wholesome.
Well, I mean, it's it's Wes Huff. One thing there are 2 things you'll always get from Wes Huff, and it's 1 wholesome and it's 2 educational.
Yeah, and isn't that what the world needs right now? Doesn't the world need more wholesome?
He's a great guy. I wish riches and blessings upon him and his family. Like you said, I don't think he's made for fame. I hope that he keeps a decent amount of followers and gets revenue from that, but he doesn't stay at a high amount,
Yeah, I agree with that, bro. Like, I hope he's able to provide for his family. I hope God provides for his family. I hope he continues on the educational path. I don't want to see Wes Huff end up like your girl Sonny's husband. Oh,
yeah. We need to know. Should we talk about this?
Yeah. Good night, Wes. Thank you for everything you did.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Have a good one. Have a good trip back to Canada. Whatever that's about. I mean, we're gonna be taking over Canada any day now, so he's gonna be our countryman anyway.
Sonny's husband, man.
And did you hear about what she said on The View?
No, what did she say?
She basically said he was guilty.
She did?
So basically what she said, Whoopi asked her about it, and she's like, you're in the news right now, blah, blah, all this stuff. And Sonny was like, she's like, yeah, the whole thing is like, she's like, my husband had to do a lot of things. Sometimes people aren't insured. Sometimes the insurance company don't approve certain things. And so my husband had to get creative in a way to give people service, but also get paid. Okay. And so she's saying it like that. I'm like, that sounds like you're saying your husband is guilty of the fraud that he's being
framing him as some type of altruistic hero.
Right. He's a Robin Hood. These poor people weren't insured, so I had to rip off an insurance company.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I hate insurance companies, particularly health insurance companies. Although I'm not some Luigi lover. That guy's scum.
Right? I was listening. I was 100% tuned in, and then I just heard, I'm like, I'm just talking about Luigi from the game. Okay.
No, this the Hitman Luigi guy. But like I'm saying, don't love the insurance companies, but however, she wasn't denying it on The View.
It's a crazy place to be in, man. We're watching a story break, man, but I made a joke about the W's and being so sick from all the W's. Like, that is the position that I've seen so many conservatives taking right now online. They're like, we are stacking W after W. In fact, some of my least favorite social media commentators who are conservative, they're just like, we're in the win zone right now, bro. Like,
so it seems like it. Listen to this. I have hated to my utter core. I've prayed about this. I'm like, God, please take this hatred out of my heart. Justin Trudeau for years and years and years. And this man is not even finishing his term in office. He's resigning because he's scared of the Trump administration.
That's a real point. Like, what is he scared of exactly?
So all the backstory to it. So Trump was like, we're going to do these tariffs. It's going to be great. And so he was at a luncheonette with Trump and Justin, and they were there together. And there's a bunch of other people there. But in the middle of the talk, of the table talk, Justin said, well, if you do these tariffs, it's going to destroy Canada. And that's when Trump did that joke, made the joke. He said, "Oh, your country can't handle it? Don't worry. I'll tell you what. You can join America. We'll make you the 51st state, and you can be its governor." That is Trump at his best, trolling this fool. He trolled the shit out of this fool in front of cameras. There are cameras who picked it up. And so that's where this whole joke about America annexing Canada comes from. Everyone's joking. They're like, Trump's going to take Canada. Canada will be part of us soon. It's all from this joke that happened like a month ago or something. Now, all of a sudden, in the last couple of days, Justin Trudeau just simply says, he's like, to spend time with my family, I am resigning. We're going to find new leadership. Here's what it is. His reign actually ends this year, later on.
Oh, okay, so he's coming out of office. Okay.
He's coming out of office. And he's just resigning early. He's just like saying, I'm not going to wait till September or something. I'm going to leave now. But however, people take that as he does not want to be blamed for the stuff that happens to Canada while Trump is in office.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to talk offline with you to get more. Or you know what? I have to go do my research on these topics. I'm not well versed in the tariffs and stuff like that, and how this is going to impact Canada.
Yeah, trust me, I'm not even sure how tariffs work. I mean, I understand the concept, but I don't know how it's going to economically ruin people or not. But
I know it's already impacting my place of work in a few different ways that I explained to you the other day, but and not negative and not positively either, but. Yeah, Justin Trudeau, man. I mean, he's Fidel's love child. He has accidentally wore blackface 4 times.
Right. However, he's the biggest hearted liberal ever who will never do something offensive except for those 4 times that he did blackface.
And it just kept happening accidentally.
Right. Did you see what Star Wars Theory said the other day?
No, what he said.
So he made a video that says, I don't normally do videos like this. And so it was after Justin Trudeau resigned. And he said, I don't do political videos, but I'm going to talk about my feelings about Justin Trudeau. And what it is Justin Trudeau is very anti-free speech. And so under his reign, YouTubers were getting in trouble. They were getting their stations taken down. Canadian YouTubers could not speak freely. And that's how Star Wars Theory felt. And he said this. He says, I'm so glad he's gone because I was worried I was going to say the wrong thing this entire time. And I was going to get my station or even get arrested.
Wow.
And so that's crazy. And then he just confesses that. And he's just like, I'm so glad he's gone. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's wild.
And then meanwhile, YouTube is like, well, you still got to worry about us.
The secret police coming around, banging down his door. And so you're right. There's a lot of it seems like it's piling up where the left is getting it. They're taking that shaft. AOC taking her pronouns out of her bio was a big victory for me. After Trump won, she took the pronouns out. She was just she even said Congresswoman. She actually called herself a woman. So victories all over the place. But I think people are gearing up for Trump's ascent, and I feel like I've never seen this kind of. He's not even president yet, and they're already they're worried about what's going to happen under his thing.
Oh, did you see him? Excuse me. Did you see him and Obama rubbing elbows today at this guy's funeral?
Oh, right, Jimmy Carter. I didn't. Were they cool?
Yeah, no, I mean they were just talking to each other but Trump was leaning in talking to Obama, and Obama's listening, nodding his head, and they were having a combo.
One thing I love Obama, and I didn't love what he said this election cycle. When he was criticizing us, or whatever. But I love Obama, and I gotta say I do love that he is always a statesman, and therefore he's always he's always gonna be cool no matter what side you're on.
For those who are chewing with their mouth open but can't walk at the same time, when Mantis says criticizing us, he's talking about when Obama criticized black men for not jumping behind. Come on.
He gave us a lecture. He gave me a lecture like he was the dad I never had. And it's the thing is like I never had a dad, so I'm not used to listening to dudes, and so your words fell on deaf ear, motherfucker. but once again, in his rant there, he did not give us a reason. Here's what it is: he lectured us for siding with Trump, but didn't give a reason why I should vote for Kamala, and that's what that whole thing was about.
You know what the crazy thing about this whole situation is? I don't know who's winning. I don't know who's losing. But I can tell you socially, the liberals are taking a lot of L's, man. It's the liberals are taking, if someone's keeping score, almost too many L's, suspiciously too many L's. Like something bad is going to happen. Too many L's. Like,
no, but like, so basically, people, when you find out that you're worshiping a false god, people run from the army, right? And so what it is they're like, we've got our liberal army, we're transing all the kids, we're doing all this stuff. And then when you lose, they lost overwhelmingly, right? Yeah. And so not only did he win the popular vote and the regular vote, but she didn't win any battleground states, she didn't make any traction anywhere, and supposedly like it was like 15 million Democrats that voted in the last election didn't vote this time for her. They stayed home, which are registered as minorities. And so minorities, instead of saying, I'm going to choose Trump over you, they were like, you know what? I'm just not going to vote anyone. That's epic. That is an epic pounding that they took. And so when that happened, when your champion is falling, people start to run for it. People who were like on their side is like, wait a minute, what's happening? And they get the fuck out of there. And so it proves how liberal were these people. They probably weren't very liberal at all. They were faking it. They were virtue signaling.
Well, I mean, that is a point that on both sides, it's a critique I use on both sides of the aisle. How much do you actually believe the things that you're championing? Well, we'll find out when it's time to put it to the test. But, sir, you need to calm down. All right? You need to calm down, right? You're starting to get conservative all over the audience, bro.
I know. I gotta tell you, I'm gushing right now. Every time I see a liberal taking L in the news, I'm like, yeah. and I don't want to say it. I don't want to speak it out loud because then it's going to chase the victory away, right? I'm going to jinx it. But, basically, hopefully, there won't be something called a liberal within the next 2 years. That's my take on it. That's what I'm hoping. That's what a man can wish Christmas wishes, right? I'm just for any of the audience, if they're like, this man's a monster. No, I don't mean Democrat. I mean liberal, as in let's trans all the kids, let's have blue hair, let's have supermodels who are 400 pounds. F that. Let's get rid of all that.
Did you have a good time tonight?
I had a great time, man. This is great. Remember, I was bitching about I was like, "There's no news." We didn't even really touch on the fires, but it's probably good we didn't.
I mean, you touched on them for sure.
I did. I said something was going to get me canceled.
Our official statement is we are praying for all of those in California, or as the spiritualists say, I'm sending positive vibes and good thoughts your way.
Right. They're what do they call it? Manifesting. We're manifesting non-death for you.
But it's crazy because the last time I was in California, man, the fires at that time were nuts. Here's the thing that really makes me sad, and I'm about to make you feel horrible right now. A lot of times these fires in California, people have farms, they have pets. You know who doesn't get rescued in these situations?
The pets. They ditch the pet. Yeah.
I knew one guy that attended the same church as me, and when the fires were happening up in that area, he hiked over the mountain to go get his dogs. I'm happy to report that he got the dogs out.
Yay! Yes.
But people lost a lot of their horses and stuff like that. So prayers to the animal.
Yeah, prayers to the animals, man. Remember, the animals are our friends when we have no friends, and so you know, a cat or a dog or a horse or something, they will be your friend when you're an incel loser.
Yeah.
Right. And so we got to remember it. We always got to you know, make way for them and you know, thank God that God allowed us to domesticate them.
Yeah.
And introduce them into our lives. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Where can the people find you for the remainder of the week?
For, you know, because I switch it up every time. I'm all over the place. But you can find me on Riz Radio, man. RizRadio.com, or you can always find me on any of these apps. We're at radio.net. We're at Online Radio Box. We're at MyTuner. We're on all the radio apps. You just hook us up. Riz Radio, weekdays at 6 p.m. Me and Steve are bringing you today's best music. Or you can hit me up on the weekend, once again, at Riz Radio, right? Where I do Burn Your Degree. I'm doing it Saturdays and Sundays these days. That's twice the amount of Mantis for the price of one. You just got to tune in. Stop being a hater.
Stop letting hatred get in the way of making me successful. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Get back on loving on me. And enough of this narcissism when you talk about yourself.
No one showed up for that part of the date. No one showed up for it. Sunday nights, folks. Sunday nights and typically Thursday nights, mic check, where I get to share my colorful feelings about the hip hop artists you enjoy so much.
I love your colorful feelings, man. I love them so much. And you know, I also want to do a quick shout out to Bex out here, who Bex, it is now 2025. It is the new year, which means it is time for you to do Bex Rated on Riz Radio. We've got several nights open for you, girl. We're ready to make this happen. And you know, she actually did an absolute killer blog post for Riz Radio just yesterday. So you guys need to check that out. Once again, Riz Radio. I mean, RizRadio.com. It has it all.
Yeah.
If you're not listening to it, you're not coming, you're not hanging out, then I don't know what the hell is wrong with you.
Probably have pronouns in your bio.
Yeah. Maybe your pronouns will keep you warm at night.
Good night.
But the man just
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Ciao for now.